Hey friends, welcome back to another video. Rob here. Today we're talking about YoloBox in 2026. This is my no bull review. So let's jump into it. YoloBox is an all-in-one live stream video encoder and recorder, but it does so much more. 15 seconds on the clock. YoloBox is an all-in-one platform that brings together your photo, video, media, and guests, both local and abroad, via USB, Wi-Fi dongle, or SIM card, in order to stream with graphics and audio integrated. Did I do it? I think that worked. It does so much more than what I could just share with you in 15 seconds, but here we go. Let's have a look at YoloBox Extreme. This is the Extreme. We've got several inputs up at the top, 8 HDMI inputs, 2 USB inputs, a couple USB-C inputs, some video outs, as well as our program board where we see everything from our titles that you see up here to our switching, our audio, including background music, recording options, fades, transitions, wipes, instant replays, scoreboards, web resolutions, as well as bonding with different destinations, encoding, streaming, guests that might be following you, and comments. If that sounds like a lot, it's because it's a lot, and we're going to talk about that today and how it works for you. My video is about the 5 new features that I love the best with YoloBox, and I've been using it for 6 years. Stick around to the end, and we'll get one tip. I'm going to share with you about how I get the best audio for video when I'm using YoloBox. There's so much to get into. It's going to take about 15 minutes, so grab a cup of coffee or some chips. Let's jump into it. Just so that you know, before we get even started, there are many different kinds of awesome YoloBoxes, and this one happens to be the small little YoloBox Mini right here. The nice part about this one is we've got one HDMI and one USB. It has all the same great software that you would expect to include chroma keying, which is an awesome feature of all YoloBoxes. It's just got a few fewer inputs, which means that it's easier to use. But we're not done. We even have YoloBox Pro. YoloBox Pro has 3 inputs, HDMI and 1 USB, giving you a total of 4 inputs, which is twice as many as the Mini, and it has all the same great features. Do you see what we're talking about now? Let's look at this next one coming up. This is YoloBox Ultra. YoloBox Ultra is going to give you a total of 5 HDMI inputs. These are up to 1080p. Actually, Ultra goes up to 4K. The Pro is at 1080, as well as a USB input, of course, the outputs. And it's going to do the same thing that we've been talking about. All the really great video and things allowed for you to switch and transfer. YoloBox does not skimp just because you get one with fewer inputs. When you purchase a YoloBox, you're paying for the number of inputs that you need. You're going to get the same great software no matter which one you get. So know that up front. Now, let's talk about how this is being recorded. Everything you see here is live today, being switched and recorded internally to the YoloBox Ultra. So let's have another look at YoloBox Ultra as we come a little bit closer. We're switching over to the YoloBox Ultra input. I'm using a total of 3 cameras today. This one is a camera over my right shoulder that allows us to look straight through. But if you look on the back over here, you can also get a look back there of what's happening on YoloBox Ultra with the program output. Now, the program output is this output right here. We have a couple of different kinds of outputs that we can look at, which are really nice. And we'll get into those maybe in a little bit. So as we look at this, let's start at the very front. We've got our audio input. Audio input is amazing. This is the first thing that I love about YoloBox, is a dedicated, solid, well-working audio levels and meters with the different meters that we're getting in decibels that it's telling us right there. There's no peaking. It doesn't show us the level sustain, but it will show us when we get into the 10 decibels up to 0. We also have a different monitor, which is our headphone out that comes from the jack that's right down here, as well as our program, so we can boost our monitor in order to hear better. We can add background music, and we can use mics from a USB or a line level mic or USB level mic, a mic signal mic, or audio from our HDMI or our videos. Notice we've got audio follows video. This is so great because we can turn on switching based on which camera is receiving the strongest audio signal. So if you wanted to do something like a podcast and you didn't want to have to monitor which camera would be working when someone was talking, turn on audio follows video, and wherever the signal is strongest, that's where the camera will select in the auto switching software, which means at this point in time, the camera will switch based on who's talking. And it's a real interesting feature because it means that you don't have to do all those cuts. In fact, it just cuts between who's talking for you based on whatever cuts you have. But we're not done. Let's talk a little bit more about what this feature set has to offer. When we come up to the top, we see that we've got a noise reduction for our line in as well as mic in and an audio fade setting. We can turn mic and line level noise reduction on or off to make things easier to hear, and we can even make it big so that we can see all of our inputs at one time. This is a lot of fun and makes mixing audio simple and easy on the YoloBox device. Now, if you want to ask, this is a great feature, but is it only for YoloBox Extreme? No. All of the software we're talking about today works on every single YoloBox. Isn't that great? Okay, so let's move over to something else. As we're coming back over here to our noise reduction, let's talk about the overlays. The overlay is part of my workflow feature set that I want to talk about. This is number 2. These overlays allow us to bring all kinds of things, from title generations to direct overlays to even images with transparency, as you can see that down there. And we can make that a little bit larger if you'd like to see. We can come back over here to our overlays and we can choose one, and now we can see how that overlay is right on top. Maybe that one wasn't the best one to choose, but you get the point. So as we're looking, we can choose different overlays so that we can see what our box is getting, and we can choose how our audience is seeing it, whether it's a PNG or whether it's a full backdrop without transparency. The cool part that you saw there is that the overlay itself went ahead and disappeared. That's because we can set on the overlays different timelines. So let's create one real quick. We can choose everything from lower thirds, image, title, timer, video sources, overcast, webcasts, and URLs, which means if you have graphics loaded to a server, you can select URL graphics to import into the device, which gives you the ability to send those device graphics out, which is really great. But if we chose to create a title, we could grab one, or an image, we could grab one. We then click continue. We can choose how we want to position that image. We can even use some very precise positioning here, as you can see right there, which makes setting an image like this easy. We can choose how we want the size and scale. We can choose an animation. This is awesome. You want it to drop in from the right and then slide off to the left. You can do that. Check it out. Boom, pops in from the right and slides off to the left. It is just wild, all the things that we can do. And from there, we can even give it an auto hide. So in this instance, we're going to give it an auto hide of, let's do 2 seconds. We're going to click done. And now if we choose that one right here, let's go to the large display so that well, large might be hard to see, but we'll do it anyway. Once we come over here to our graphics overlays, we click that. Boom, you see how it's come in, and now it slides away all on its own, which is a really, really great feature. So we've already talked about 2 of the main things. The first one being audio. I brought up audio first because it's so important to your stream, but more importantly, it's important to whatever multi-purpose media collection that you're doing. YoloBox isn't sitting here just streaming. So pro tip number 1 is, if you think YoloBox only streams, get that out of your head, because it records internally. Now, we can talk about those recordings as places and destinations from individual cameras, depending on how many cameras you have, at separate resolutions. So you can record internally to your cameras, you can record those cameras internally to YoloBox, and you can record a program of all of your switching. This means you don't necessarily need to be live in order to deliver a deliverable ready piece of media to your client. But that's a pro tip we'll keep talking about in just a minute. We talked about audio first because it's so important. Without good audio, no one's going to listen. There's an old saying in showbiz, especially in videography and cinematography, that audio is half of video. And that's true. If you've got a terrible photo or video, people can still watch if they've got good, crisp, clear audio. Low resolution, that's fine. But if you've got bad audio, no one's listening at all. The second thing we talked about were overlays. We wanted to talk about the media because everything we're doing when we're producing a show has to do with those little bugs, the pop-ups, the titles, the images, the overlays. If we can't get great images and overlays in here, what are we even doing? How can you have a deliverable ready piece at the end of filming that makes sense? Think about shows or things that would be shows that need to be processed as little as possible for timely delivery. That's what this comes into. So anything that happens in real time, reality, anything that can be rehearsed, anything that can be shown in an instructive, informative, or narrative way can be delivered very quickly with YoloBox. any of them because they will internally record the program and other sources for you. Which leads us to my next favorite part, and that's going to be adding a video source. Let's come in over here. When we're looking at the video source, we've got lots to consider. In this particular one, we've got HDMI 1 through 8, USB 1, 2, and USB-C. We've also got video, images, PDF, live streams, NDI, because of course it does NDI, SRT, SRT listener, RTMP, RTMPS, and web. These are our web graphics. On the right-hand side, we've got multiple types of views. So picture-in-picture, news layout, side-by-side, anything you can think of, and one of my favorite, which is customized. So I'm actually going to go over here and show you how simple it is to bring in a piece of video, and we'll start with a video itself. So come over here. I've got all different types of video in here, and I'm going to bring in one of my favorites, YoloBox. This is the teaser I made from them recorded with YoloBox and other cameras, and now we're going to watch it. So I'm going to press on it, and you'll see it switch. Boom, there it is in the side. Isn't that crazy? Look at that, all on YoloBox. Now, as we come back through over here, we're going to come up one so that you can see just as simple as it is right there. So when we're coming and switching, we've got all different pieces of media that make a whole lot of sense. So it makes it easy to use. Let's talk about that customization. With customization, we can get an easy scene that looks something like this. Now, I've got my hands here to show, like when I play guitar. I've got a PDF over there that you can see, as well as a shot on me directly. Multiple cameras, multiple angles, all in one shot, which is a great newscaster setup, and we can do that so easily. Setting that shot up is as simple as adding a customized view, and once we add that customized view, we just make it work. We make it work because it's as simple as dragging and dropping. Now, when we think about this, we've got our audio, we've got our overlays, we've got our video. That video can be pre-recorded, pre-rendered video like you saw the demo reel of YoloBox or anything else, because we can bring those things in from different sources. Those things are how our production works. And I want to share with you a couple of specialty things on that production side. Now, this is going to be a little bit harder to show, so I'm going to bring our attention over here. And as I do, I know it's going to be difficult to see, but as I bring that over here, let's see if I can get this pop-up. I'm going to tap on this pop-up, right? Or maybe I'll tap on this pop-up. Okay, let's get one. I'm trying to get one. And I want to go into chroma key. Now, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, great. If not, look over here. And the chroma key itself is giving us the ability to choose a different kind of chroma key. Everything that we would like is creatable and editable, showable right here. And from here, we can choose a different type of background image, the different smoothness, the color type. We can choose how to block it off. Everything is available to us, all from that particular screen, which is exciting. Now, I didn't add a chroma key right there because the chroma key is something you would set up prior to recording any of this stuff. You would need to have your chroma key up and available. Those things are just some of the pieces of powerful gear that YoloLiv has baked into all of the different types of software. But if we look a little bit closer, we can see that in some instances, like here, I'm using the YoloCam S7. And with the YoloCam S7, we actually have the ability to get into the camera settings. So here, once again, we're looking at the camera settings, and you're able to see I can select my focus. I can select the type of flicker. I can select my aperture, because the lens, it's a micro four thirds mount, interchangeable lens camera. I can select all that stuff, as well as my white balance, as well as any audio source that's connected to it I can bring in, and then I can set how I would like it to be set up as far as its resolution and frame rate. I can also save those as defaults in order to trigger it back at some other time. There's so much stuff that happens that we can do all on YoloBox. This happens with YoloBox, YoloCam S7, and the YoloCam S3. Now, the YoloCam S3 is this little guy right here. It's pointing right there. Then the YoloCam S3 has a great capability and ability to be able to focus. Let's check this out. Here is one of the awesome lenses that YoloBox has, or YoloLiv has come out. This is their, I believe this is their 18 millimeter, f1.7. This is a micro four thirds lens. As you can see right there, it has the electronic contact so that it works with the micro four thirds mount, and it's nice and lightweight. Great lens right here. But because the YoloCam S7 can use any of the different micro four thirds mounts, you could use whatever you wanted, and it'll work just fine. Now, when we think about all of this stuff, these are just a few of the options that have made things make our program work. Now let's talk about the options. This is part 4, the things that make our job easy. And I'm going to come right over here, and I'm switching over to auto switching mode. Now, auto switching mode is beautiful. I'm actually going to turn it on so that you can see we need to know our sources. Let's go ahead and define what sources we have, USB 1 and USB 2. I'm going to remove those sources. Well, because I don't think that we necessarily, well, I guess I'll keep those sources, and then we'll add another one, which will be HDMI 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these down to about 5 seconds, just so you can see how awesome the looper is on the auto switcher and how these things switch. Now, I could loop any media source that I have right now. I'm just choosing not to loop a SD card video or any of the custom graphics videos. So now that we've done that, we're going to just go ahead and turn this on, and it's going to automatically switch. Now, because it's automatically switching, you're going to see the switch as it happens automatically. So right now, you're actually just seeing the switch from my hand, but now you're seeing the spot as everything counts down so that you can get a whole look at the program overview. And you can kind of see it happening over here. It's counting down in the background as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off and switch back. Auto switching is so important, and whether or not you want to use the auto switching with the video mode, or you want to use the auto switching with video follows audio, that works great too. Another quality of life improvement is your background music. Now I'm going to go ahead and just bring this. We've got our background music. We can determine how we'd like that background music to play. Come over here, and now we can see that our background music is on. I'm now going to turn the background music off. You can also increase and decrease with your audio panel, just that simple. How do you like that? Now, coming back over here to the background music, I can stop the background music down here with the play pause button. And if you had more tracks, you could very easily add those tracks. Now, the final thing that makes things ease of life is our communications, is the fade and how we're going to do our transitions. You've got plenty of different types of transitions and wipes. And now that I'm seeing this, I'm realizing that there is another thing that I forgot to tell you, so I'm going to come back over here. When I go to create a title or something like that, I want you to see just how many different fonts that you have. You've got all kinds of fonts in here, and this is so important. You can also import your own font and create a font collection. And with that, you have so many ways to collaborate on what your font looks like, as well as positioning, right? So we can change the corner radius, we can change the distance, we can of course change the colors if we wanted to. We're going to go over here, YoloBox, yellow or blue. We can change the alignment and the centering, the dimming color. All of those things can be changed. Of course, again, same thing as we said before. So when we think about the quality of life, for me, the quality of life part number 4 happens to be everything from the audio follows video, the auto switching, and the font selections when we're creating our titles. Those things put together make a gigantic impact on how you can bring in and show media to the world, because your whole goal is creating multi-purpose media, something that's recorded once, that is multi-purpose, that can be used for something else. So when you have your entire production and you're recording in 4K and you're using YoloBox Extreme and everything is recorded separately and you've got a final production from your program, it's ready to be used, not just in the full-length production, but also cut up for shorts, because the entire switching, creation, and production process was caught directly. And you might wonder, well, how does this help me? Well, if you're in a band or a production situation, if you're in a hospitality situation, if you're in a media production for seminars or music or education, if you're doing anything with news, if you're selling live with live sales and live shows on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook, these things are what this production works the best for, because when you're done your live stream, you then have the original media. And if you don't want to do the live stream, you can do your performance, record it, and then broadcast it at a time that's more convenient for you and your guests, whoever might be actually purchasing. That's so great. So because we can do all of this internal and we don't have to live stream, it makes it easy to have a finished product done at a time that works well for you, but then you choose to broadcast in your YoloBox later when you create a live event, and then use the video that you created on YoloBox as the video source. It just goes live with that source. So if you're live at 7 and you record at 3 and it's a 30-minute production, then you can record from 3 to 4 to make sure everything's right. Take that time. And then at 7, you can press go live with your YoloBox setup, and it will broadcast the video that you recorded from all the different audio sources. Your entire cast, crew, and production can be gone. And you can do it all right here. In fact, if you're on the plane waiting to get someplace because you've got something to do, well, you can create all of your media in YoloBox while you're on your way there so that your production is here and it saves. So you can come back to that production over and over, which is really, really great. Final thing, I said there were 5. Let's talk about 5. 5, the final thing that makes it easy of use and stuff are the settings, right? So when we look at our settings, everything is easy. And the number one setting that is the easiest for me happens to be anyone that's here, the guest invite, as well as the comments. Now, this is an internal recording, not being broadcast live, but it's going to be sent to YouTube in its entirety, right? But if I was live, I would be able to bring in those guests directly simply by sending them a link, all done from YoloBox, which would then allow me to bring those guests in, determine what their permissions were for using the microphone, and I could mute their mic, I could mute their camera, I could do all of that stuff, as well as see the comments. So comments that are coming in can also be replied to on YoloBox, and you can plug in on one of the USB ports a keyboard if you choose, or you can use the on-screen keyboard. This is something that's very helpful for production managers or producers because they can use YoloBox behind the scenes to help produce the show. Think a podcast, think a video cast, think a live interview, think anything you want to talk about, especially a cooking show. Oh my Lord, this thing works great for that. And while you're live, if you're cooking live, your producer can be answering questions and providing questions to you from your followers that are watching and commenting. Think about this. What about super chats? What about super thanks? Things that people might want to send to you. What about marketing to other locations like, go here to buy this or that? Well, once again, that communication strategy that we're talking about, you can get a QR code and put it up here. Let's see. Do I have a QR code? I should have something with a QR code in here. I usually do. There it is. Boom. So we got a QR code. You could add this somewhere and say, hey, if you'd like this, there's your QR code. So your production manager could add that, or you could if you were just running the stream yourself. All of these things are part of your larger communication strategy, and that communication strategy makes things work well. So for me, all of these things are no-brainers. No matter which YoloBox you need, they've got one in a price point that's going to work for you. Now, we're at the end. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've enjoyed it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Use my link down below to get yours. That would be great. What is my pro tip? Well, I'll take it back over here. So generally speaking, when I record, I'm over here in the audio panel. Currently, well, I guess let me do this for you. Over there, and you can't see it, behind YoloBox Ultra or YoloBox Extreme happens to be my Tascam Model 12 audio interface. I'm here in my studio, right? I'm doing all of this for you live. I can run the cables where I want. In this instance, I'm actually bringing the audio directly in, and it's coming in as a line level signal, and I'm able to use that line level signal. Something I didn't talk about earlier that I'm reminded of now is that we actually have the ability with different cameras to delay our audio depending on how much audio might need to be delayed. That delay is extraordinarily important. When you have audio that's coming in through a device, then you're going to want to use audio delay in any time that the audio comes after the video. The video comes after the audio. When it's delayed, the video is delayed. Audio signals generally run a lot faster, and we can delay up to about half of a second, 420 milliseconds. That is plenty. So because we have that capability, we can always make sure that our audio is properly synced with what we are sending. Now, what I normally like to do is turn on the audio follows video, and the audio follows video is right here, AFV. And I do that in situations where I've got microphones set up for all of my podcast members in a studio environment, because I can set the microphones to match the proper settings at all the different microphones that might be set up. So 2 or 3 different microphones. I've got 12 inputs on the Model 12, well, 10 inputs on the Model 12, so I could have 10 microphones, and I've set them properly. They all have compressors, gates, things like that, so I can mix the audio as necessary and send that out to YoloBox Extreme. However, when I'm on location, often what I will do is use the HDMI from the video source itself. In this case, I would be using HDMI from HDMI 5, and let's point to that. Right now, HDMI 5 is on, but most of the time I have it turned off. It's on right now. Doesn't really matter because on the camera I have it turned down very, very low. You shouldn't be hearing any echo. But if you turn it up too high, if I were to turn it up on the camera, you would hear echo, and that would be bad. So we're going to keep it in this situation right here, but I would normally just turn the audio from that on, and then I would run whatever cameras or microphones I had into that source. Most of the time I'm using wireless microphones, and I have systems that can support 2 or 4 wireless microphones. This means that by sending the audio into the HDMI main camera that I'm using, and then telling YoloBox to only use the audio from that camera, I'm just cutting down the mixing workflow and syncing the audio directly with the video from one of my clocked sources of high quality video and audio, which is one of my camcorders. This is important, especially if you're using more consumer level gear. But when you start getting more expensive gear, most of your DSLR cameras that are over $1,000 will already have a great clock built into them, and they'll sync your audio wonderfully. So it will work with those systems. I use it a lot with Sony, Panasonic, and Olympus cameras, and it just works very well. So even if I have an on-camera USB microphone that plugs into the camera to provide that source, or if I have an XLR microphone that's plugging straight into my HDMI cameras with XLR inputs, it all works the same. So what I'm sharing with you is that pro tip. When you got a lot of audio sources and you're working quickly on location, run them all into your main camera, and then it will sync the audio. Make sure to set everything to Unity, of course. Okay, there you go. We have done it. Today we've been talking about YoloBox and all of its glory, specifically the YoloBox Extreme, but here we have the Ultra, and how much actual productivity you really get out of it. I've been using it for 6 years, and I recommend it. I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm Rob, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Bye for now.